Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I had to add myself to the stream. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was like, am I added? Is this a weird layout? Should I change it? Sorry guys, this is my first time live if you're watching.
All good. It's all
You're
good.
like, I thought like you could hear me and like you were like, no.
No, I
That's
was
so
on the other.
funny.
Well, actually, for some reason my settings were like, oh, StreamYard, it does not have permission for your camera and your mic. And I'm just like,
Oh,
I just
that's
checked
so
in my system
weird.
preferences and it's totally allowed.
This
What
is
is going on?
this is really cool. Like I didn't understand how that I had to add myself to. Okay, let's go with this one. Okay, that's a little bit better. There we go.
Yes.
All right, so we already have a question, but I just wanted to start with like a little bit of an introduction about you and like how your online teaching journey and experience has been, and kind of what led you to Allschool as well.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. My name's Kelsey. I'm from Teaching Online with Kelsey. So, I first started out like a brick and mortar teacher, and so I'm a trained Montessori teacher. So I was in the Montessori classroom for about 3 years, and and you know how school environments can be sometimes. It's just the school that I was at, I just really wasn't happy there.
Yeah.
There was a lot of toxic things going on like amongst the people. So it's not the
Yeah.
method itself, just people.
Mm-hmm.
People can be that way sometimes.
So true.
And so I thought, okay, maybe this is just my chance to just leave. And
Mm-hmm.
so I left brick and mortar teaching, and technically I gave myself a year to not do Montessori teaching, but I was still looking for a job. And so there were actually a couple of people at my church that were actually teaching with VIP Kid.
Oh,
So the infancy of my online teaching journey actually started with VIP Kid. So
wow.
back in July of 2019.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I taught with them first
Mm-hmm.
and stayed with that, thought that's the Kool-Aid I would drink, you know, was the VIP Kid Kool-Aid and
Mm-hmm.
nothing else, you know how it can
Yeah.
be. So, and then the pandemic happened. And I was actually working a different full-time job, not related to teaching, but I was
Mm.
still doing VIP Kid on the side.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah,
Oh.
so like on the days that I would have to go into work, because it was a weird schedule
Mm-hmm.
job that I had. So I didn't work every single day.
Yeah.
They were 12-hour shifts. So
Okay.
it was actually in healthcare. So like on
Oh,
my
okay.
off days, I would be getting up early and teaching
Right.
VIP Kid.
Yeah.
So, and
Amazing.
then I started seeing more and more VIP Kid teachers that were like YouTubers talk
Yeah.
about Outschool.
I know. That's how I found it too.
And so, yeah, and so I was like, "Ooh, Outschool. Like you can set your own pay and
It was
like
unreal.
teach your own content. It doesn't have to be ESL, but like what
Can
you
literally be
actually are
anything.
passionate about."
Mm-hmm.
And so, and by the time I was really digging into Outschool, it was coming up on my 1 year break,
Right.
I guess you could say, of like, do I really want to continue teaching or do I want to do something else? And
Mm.
so I realized that on Outschool you could teach just about anything. And I thought, well, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Nobody's really going into the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
I am a trained Montessori teacher. What would happen if I tried to put both together?
Right.
Would that really be possible? So it was almost like a science experiment in
Mm.
a way. Like, could I really do this?
So true. That's how
And
I just feel like I like that like opportunity to create on these marketplaces. And
mhm,
even I feel like you can create even more so on these marketplaces than, let's say, if you had a tutoring company. And
Right.
no shame in having your own private tutoring company,
Right.
but I do feel like you have more of the space to offer a creative class that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do even if you owned your own company.
Right.
So that's really what I love that about Allschool, Outschool, these
Yeah.
marketplaces that are popping up for sure. So
Yes.
then you started teaching with Outschool, and like I know that you had like a crazy, insane in demand class, and then what led you to Allschool? So talk about that a little bit.
So once I realized I was generating like a decent amount of income on Outschool, and that's when then made the shift to being an online teacher full time.
Yeah.
So ultimately, like if it wasn't for me being a full-time online teacher, I wouldn't have the opportunity to really check into Allschool and
Mm.
see what they're about. And what sort of inspired me to look into Allschool was around the time that VIP Kid was pivoting
Mhm.
to the global platform
Yeah.
because of the China regulation
Yeah.
law.
Mhm.
Like I don't know all the details of that, but
Okay.
it was basically a restriction on the regular standard VIP kid classes.
Oh, okay.
And
Mhm.
so it was like,
Huh.
huh, okay. And so I heard this was a new program
Mhm.
starting up that would be like a mix of Outschool and VIP Kid
Yeah.
combined.
Yeah, we're
So
gonna talk about that too, like, um, in later, like what's going on with that as well, as far as is
mhm.
it still, like gonna be kind of like VIP Kid and Outschool combined, or what kind of classes you can offer now. So would you say, some that when you made the switch, was it to diversify your income, or was it just like to add another company? Like, what was your main reason for switching?
So, I mean,
Not switching, but
yeah.
you
um,
still want Outschool, Kelsey. Yeah,
yeah,
but
I do both. I
yeah.
do Outschool and Allschool. So,
Mhm.
I think it's just another opportunity, another source of income, and reaching out to a further base that maybe I can't really reach with Outschool. So I know I teach a different set of lessons for Allschool than I would for
Mm.
Outschool, because right now, because Allschool is still in its infancy for
Yeah.
company, we still see a lot of Beijing time students.
Yeah.
Well, some of them still speak, they're here like, I don't speak a lot of English.
Yeah.
So you do kind of have to pull out your ESL bag of tricks
Okay, okay.
sometimes
Yeah,
uh
that's
with
interesting.
them, which is fine,
Mhm.
especially if you do have that ESL teaching experience, use that to your advantage now
Mhm.
with Allschool,
Yeah.
because
So we have a question here. It says, "So Allschool is another Outschool. Is it just as oversaturated?" That's a loaded question. We'll get into that
I
one. Um,
yeah.
as Kelsey is actually talking about sort of this is like, is it exactly like Outschool? Um, and how does it, if it's not, how does it differ?
So here's the difference with Allschool. So right now they are doing a promotional offer for teachers where your takeaway pay is only like 15%. So
Mm,
if without school, they take 30. All
wow,
school is taking 15.
that's a big
Now,
chunk. It's a big chunk less
but
than they're taking out. Yeah,
yeah,
amazing.
now that promotion is short. I am
Mhm.
I like to be honest. That promotion is ending for a little bit. However, it is not going to be 30% for all
Okay.
school.
Okay.
So it'll probably be around 20-25%.
Mhm.
So it's not going to be the 30% like it is for out school. So
Right.
so 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 it is more income earning opportunity to
Right.
join the all school
Per class.
team.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So, I mean, so it just depends on your income needs and if
Mhm.
you're willing to get up. I mean, I'm not getting up at like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning to teach.
Mhm.
Those days with VIP Kid are over.
Right. A little bit
But
earlier.
right.
You're an
But
early riser.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, but like I'm in Eastern time.
Mhm.
So I'm getting up at like I'm teaching at 7 a.m.
Okay.
in my time zone.
All right. So
So
basically what you're saying is there's a different market that they're reaching on Allschool. So like the market is more in Asian countries, would you say? Or like
right now they are reaching out to the United States and the UK hours too.
okay.
So they're slowly rolling that out where they're
Right.
trying to get a further reach.
Whereas Outschool started with North America and is slowly expanding.
Mhm,
So it's the opposite. So if you're, I would say it's a good fit then if you're like, if you wanted those earlier hours to begin with.
mhm,
Like some of us on Outschool, we can't all the time get those earlier hours. So
right.
it's kind of nice that those are doing well for you.
Yeah.
Um,
So those are probably like the biggest takeaways
yeah.
for wanting to do all school is that you will get those learners for the early morning hours, and then the takeaway pay is not as much as it would be for out school. So, and
Mm,
even when their promotional's over, it's still not as much as out school.
yeah.
So,
We kind of cover this a little bit. This is from Libby, and she says here most of the students are Beijing students on Allschool, but I can teach Beijing students on Outschool. So she teaches on Outschool. Another one of her questions is, why teach on Allschool if you were to already have a good following on Outschool? That's kind of my position too.
mhm,
Why teach on Allschool? Like, what are some of the benefits of maybe teaching for more than one company or teaching for Allschool? One of the benefits you actually said is, that pay chunk that they take. It's
mhm,
way less. They're
yeah,
offering that for 15% right now. So if you don't want forever to be 30% or even more that is being taken from your income, this would be a great one to start building some classes up, and then once you're getting more enrollments with Allschool, you can take some Outschool classes away because you will be getting less of a pay deduction. What's another benefit you would say of teaching maybe more than one company or teaching for Allschool in general?
uh, probably. I mean, more than anything, I feel like the all school team really looks out for its teachers. And I'm not saying that out school does not. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just
Yeah.
saying right now, the all school team is just really soaking up the opportunities and really listening to the teachers that
Mm,
are currently on the all school teacher board.
yeah.
And even though, because I know at one point they had talked about like the pre-made ready course,
Yep.
which they did say currently is postponed.
Mhm.
So, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So to kind of expand on that too is like the pre-made curriculum, that was where you didn't have to come up with your own curriculum, but you could teach it just like kind of like VIP Kid, right?
Correct.
And
Yes.
was that just ESL or was that different topics as well?
So it was for different subjects, so not
Oh
just
wow.
ESL. So if it was to be programmed where someone would be a curriculum writer to write, because what's still happening right now on the all school side is if you're able to teach math, they have already a math pre-made
Oh,
course with
wow.
teachers teaching that
Oh,
course on
wow.
there
That's nice.
still. So that's still happening, just not other subjects yet.
Yeah. And do you have an idea of what the pay would be for that, even just the math right now? Like do you have an idea of what the payment is for someone who's not going to make their own curriculum on the platform?
You know, it's a good question because I've been trying to dig in that information from the math teachers
Yeah.
on all school, and I'm not really getting anything, and
Okay.
and that's really sad because I want to be able to
No,
provide
that's
that
okay. I mean, some of
information.
these things they take
So
time, but that'd be something that we could look into is just, what is the pay difference between when you're not creating your curriculum and when you are? Because I think what you're saying too is that Allschool has seen a need, like many teachers that want to teach on these marketplaces. Some of them want to create their own curriculum, but then others want kind of the stability of creating curriculum that's already in demand. And I think
Mhm.
that's great that they're listening. And like you said, that some of those courses are currently postponed, but the fact that that's something that they want to get out there, and
Right.
something that in the future that they're hoping to get out there is great. It shows that they're really listening to their students. And I know that I think a lot of teachers are going to ask questions like, how many teachers are teaching on Allschool currently, and kind of what's the, like, do you have an idea of the student to teacher ratio, or how many students, or is it expanding quite well? I know it's the early stages, so some of these things are kind of hard to say for sure, but do they have anywhere where, they're showing how many students are, or they've said that type of statistic?
They have not shared any numbers yet. However, I know on their Facebook group, they have, I mean, at least 1,000 people on in that group
Okay.
specifically for Allschool.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming, so it's still a pretty big chunk of teachers, not as much as Outschool, because
Right.
again, it's a new company. But
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that there are a decent amount of teachers that have applied and have tried to go through the process, or they were able to do the express pass because they also teach on Outschool.
Yeah.
So that's how they're able to forego the demo video, is
Yeah,
because
one
they
of
already teach on
my
Outschool.
teachers that actually well, referrers or applicants or whatnot, he's an amazing teacher. He teaches ESL, um got denied unfortunately by Outschool, and he just got onto Allschool like right away, like within a day. So one
Hmm.
of the benefits of the application process is much easier if you do get rejected from Outschool. If you're not currently an Outschool teacher, they're accepting more teachers right
Right,
now on Allschool.
right,
And you kind of grow with the company
right.
because it's still in the startup stages. You're growing with the company.
Hmm.
um, but that reminds me though, like, can you tell us like your experience, and have you taught classes on Allschool? Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I've taught several classes on the All School platform ever since they've started their launch back in November. So I know I was actually in the beta group, and somehow I was able, like my very first class that I taught like 7 learners. And I'm just like,
Wow.
how did that even happen?
Amazing.
Like, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a
My
lot.
max is usually like 6 to 8, so that's right up there.
Yeah. So, and
Mhm.
like, and it comes and goes. Some days I only have one or two, and they
Mhm.
encourage you to just, if you're able to just teach the one, that's okay.
Yeah.
And then they also say, if you're teaching that young age group, keep it to like 4 max.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, yeah, sure. So it just depends, just like Outschool, it depends on how many you can manage, in an
Right.
online classroom. Like some people can do more, some people can do less,
Mhm.
whatever's your cup of tea on
Yeah.
that. So, but I
So
mean, some
good.
days I have full classes. Some days when I teach, I only have one or two, and then some days I don't teach at all.
Right.
And they don't necessarily have that uncancel section
Mm.
feature yet. So when it's canceled, you just don't teach that day, or
Okay.
you just don't teach that class,
Right.
whatever the circumstances.
Yeah. So do you still pull in students? Like, do you get repeat learners?
So right now they're still promoting like one-time classes with
Mm.
me specifically.
Okay.
So I have not really seen a lot of repeat
Okay.
students, because the type of classes that I'm offering right now are one time, and they're like, we really want you to try to promote the one time classes. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, sure,
Mhm.
that's fine. So, and then I haven't really seen any other learners in like other classes,
Mhm.
but on another class that I just created, I could see repeat learners come up for the
Mhm.
different class. So I'm very hopeful for that.
Yeah. So it's almost, I mean, I know that at some point Outschool was, the one times were going really well with
Mhm,
Outschool. And it seems like that might be something that they're seeing as more in demand right now with Allschool is the one
mhm.
times,
Right,
just to kind of build up the company. And so, like, I mean, I know for some teachers, like they would sometimes almost rather do a one time. So
mhm.
that'd be if you have like a good one time class, I think that'd be a good thing to start with on All
Yes,
School for sure. Um, so I mean, it's still in the growing stages, but what's why do you think like well, in my personal experience, when I first started, teaching online, it was really good for me to diversify and
right,
teach for multiple companies, um, to get in that extra income and to make sure that I'm making what I needed to make. So this would definitely be something maybe if you're an Outschool teacher and um, you want to add another company that's more of a backup because you never know what companies are going to make changes or
right,
we saw that with VIP Kid, we saw that
right,
with all these ESL companies, and you can't necessarily say that you're safe with Outschool either, even though I mean I love Outschool. I mean, that
right,
most of my channel is about Outschool, but that being said, you're still an independent contractor, and only having one company or one source
right,
of income in your belt is not always the wisest decision. So even if
right,
you have full classes on Outschool, it'd be a safe bet to have at least one company as a backup or at least another income
right.
stream.
Yeah,
So
and
I think that's a benefit.
that's what I
Mhm.
share in my personal channel videos too, is like you don't wanna put all your eggs in one basket because you're gonna get burnt out quickly, for one.
Mhm.
And then, of course, you never know what might happen with the company either, as you shared before, because even though Outschool, they look like they're doing great, always having teachers, always classes available, they could very well shut down the next day,
Mhm.
and we'd be like, what am I going to do? Like, this is where my money comes in. So you want to make sure that you have multiple streams of income,
Yeah.
not just two online teaching
Yeah.
platforms. All, like, if there is another way for you to earn money, whether
Right.
it's with another platform or teachers pay teachers, whatever the
Yeah,
situation
something.
is,
Mhm.
like, you have to make sure you have that security too, because
Right.
otherwise, like, it could
Yeah.
happen with VIP Kid.
It's
And
definitely
you
good security, but it also has some other pros, like that they're not taking as much income out of your paycheck, that you're
right,
growing with the company. So it's not, as you say, oversaturated, or it's not as hard to stand out and brand yourself on the platform.
mhm,
Like, I know that I work a lot with, new Outschool teachers, and, like, my main thing is to try to get them to especially with transitioning classroom teachers, get them, out of the classroom if that's what they want and teaching full time. And
yeah,
obviously one of something we talk about is how to diversify your income, not just through teaching for another platform, but the other thing is just how to stand out on a marketplace that's so big like Outschool, and we talk about that so much because that's so important on Outschool, where as on Allschool it's not going to be as hard to stand out.
right. Yeah, the market is kind of hot right now on the
Yeah.
all school side because there's not as many teachers as there is on Outschool.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, but I mean, you just kind of have to pick your trade. Like, do you want to go with a company that has millions of teachers on there, but you know the company really well? Or do you want to take the chance at a new company that's not even 6 months old yet, but you're able to actually have, but you're actually able to have more learners and more income, and you actually earn more. So,
Yeah.
it's ultimately going to be your decision on what you feel is best. But I know you mentioned before one of your clients try to apply to Outschool, didn't get in, but then got into Allschool.
Right
So,
away.
that may be, for those watching this, that may be your situation right now. Like maybe
Mhm.
because Outschool is so saturated, with teachers are like, "No, we're not taking teachers right now." But
Mhm.
then Allschool is like looking for teachers. I mean, still carefully. They don't
Yeah.
want to just hire every single person that
Right.
comes on, but you do have more of a chance to be an Allschool teacher than an Outschool teacher if that is where you stand
Right.
in the online
And
teaching
I
world.
think the other thing to mention here is, even though I'm a huge proponent of Outschool, and I'm sure some of you that are watching are also, but the other thing you got to think about is, if there's only one company that is like the main company, they can start to have more rigid guidelines, or again,
Mhm.
increase the amount that they're deducting from your pay. Like that
Right.
30% is a huge chunk.
It is huge.
And I mean, it's huge, you know? And then, so I think that they have the liberties to do that, because they Outschool is right now, I would say, the most sought after company,
Mhm.
even though there are other companies like Outschool that are doing well, but it's the most sought after. And I think that, if it's good to not just have one company to be above all the others. I think it's
Right.
good for them to have a little bit of competition as well,
Right.
so that they do really well with listening to teachers, but they can continue that and not feel like, oh well, we can have more of these rigid guidelines or
Yeah.
whatnot.
And I mean, and if you do Outschool and you want to do or Allschool, I know that's so hard to interchange sometimes. But I mean, that could be a chance to experiment, maybe I can earn more money with Allschool
Yeah.
instead of Outschool,
Hmm.
and if you realize that's what's happening, then that's your opportunity to maybe transition out of an oversaturated market and
Yeah.
into the
I love
Allschool
that. That's
market.
such a good way of putting it, and I think
So,
that that would be how I would use it, is grow with the company, and once it becomes bigger and in the class and I get more enrollments, I would be able to transition some of my classes out of Outschool so that I can earn more and work less.
yes.
Because I think, like, if you think about the difference of percentage being taken out, I could literally work less than I am now, which is about 20 hours a week. Could work less than that, probably like 15 or less than that, and
Right.
earn the same amount of money. So think
Right.
about it that way too. So we have a question here. Does Allschool
Yeah.
offer the option to have like a flex class or pre-recorded lessons to make the semi-passive
The
income?
semi-passive, yes. So I actually did ask one of one of the people starting up on the Allschool platform, and I had made that suggestion. I'm like, are you guys actually thinking about doing that? And she's like, well, hopefully, depending on the teacher growth and also the student growth, we hope to offer that in the future.
Okay.
So I'm like, that's great. So I think Allschool, there are a lot of things that I feel like Allschool does kind of like copy and paste
Mm-hmm.
from Outschool in a way,
Yeah.
but at the same time it does create that competition, as we've
And
been kind of talking about in the video
yeah.
too.
And it's like, Outschool is the leading company, and obviously these other companies are going to learn from what they did, how they can also, um I guess, like, structure their company as well. I think it's important to do that, see who your competitors are, even in classes, like,
Hmm.
see, you don't copy. I mean, obviously Allschool is trying to make their own platform unique as well, because
Right.
they want to offer those PGC or whatever classes or whatnot,
Right.
so that the teachers don't have to create their own curriculum, and they're going to make it unique in their own way. And I think it's important for them too to do that competitor research. But
Right.
um, yeah, so just a question, because I was actually talking to one of my clients. She's a teacher that she lives in Spain,
Hmm.
and she wanted to know, um, what companies does Allschool hire from? Because I know some of us are digital nomads, right?
Right.
So, mhm,
Yeah.
I'd
So
be interested.
currently they are accepting teachers in the United States. They're also accepting teachers from the UK and Ireland.
Hmm,
And I believe, let me double check
mhm,
and make sure I know, because I know United States, UK, and
yeah,
Ireland.
okay.
Because I also had another person um email me asking if they were from Iran.
Okay.
And unfortunately, like those types of companies or types of countries are not part of like their approved list of
Oh, okay.
teachers
Okay.
that could teach. So
Okay.
it does, and then Canada. I don't know if
Canada.
I said Canada.
Mhm.
Because I see someone in the chats from Canada. So
Oh,
Canada
yeah.
is
Oh, yeah,
is an acceptable
we have Canada
acceptable one
here.
too. So
Woo!
yeah, uh huh. So I live in Canada. You
Yeah.
get paid in
So
U.S.
is there a way to look for those countries?
Yes, it should be on the website. Um,
Okay. Okay.
so it wouldn't
Let me
load, but
while you answer, how about you answer this question? I'll check it out.
yeah,
And so live in Canada, do you get paid in US dollars? And then do they use, so how have you gotten paid?
yeah. So currently, right now, All School is doing just direct deposit pay. So it's just going to go directly to your bank.
Okay.
So they do not have a PayPal um, system yet. So they're in the works of trying to get that, um, where that could be a form of payment if you do
Right.
not feel comfortable giving your banking information.
Mm,
Um, but if the one thing maybe some of you are concerned about is like, well, am I actually going to get the money from All School? And yes, you do. You It just goes directly to your bank. There's nothing weird or funky putting your number in. They're not going to I promise they're not going to take your money.
well, Kelsey knows a lot of people, right, from that are um part of the company. And so
Right.
the good thing about Kelsey here is that she's a direct link, and
Mhm.
so it's not just this huge company that you don't know who runs it. Kelsey knows who runs it,
Mhm.
and the people that are running it. So
Yes.
so I think your word is good that it's legit,
So
right?
right.
Yeah.
You always know that there's going to be people out there that it's like, do you really get paid? It's like, yes, you
Mhm.
do. So
Yes.
there's a lot of stuff, like even with the whole ready-made courses being postponed, there's just
Mhm.
a lot of like legal stuff that they're still trying to work through and process and trying to find certain things. And again, it is a new company. So I think giving them a lot of grace
Mhm.
is what's going to, help you stay with the company in the long run and just realizing, oh, I'm learning as they're learning too.
Yeah, I'm not seeing, I can't quite find the information about who they are hiring. So I'm not quite sure about where they're hiring from. That would be a really good one to answer, though.
Yes.
So not quite. I don't know how I could search for that. I know there's the information is around there.
Right.
um, but do they hire teachers with a degree or without a degree?
Yes. So it could be both.
Okay.
So you can still be an all school teacher without a degree.
Okay.
Um, but you can also teach with a degree.
Okay.
So the idea, like when you are filling out your application and doing your demo video, is really like showing off your experiences and what you're really passionate about. So even if you don't really have a lot of teaching experience behind you, if you are an expert at rocks, like geology, like
Yeah.
if you are like I know a rock. I know what kind of rock it is. Like, share that. And then share that in, in your classes.
Right.
So like you don't have to be, you didn't have to be a previous brick and mortar teacher to teach on Allschool.
Mhm.
So it's almost the same premise to Outschool in that, as long as you're passionate and you're really knowledgeable about a subject, feel free to
Yeah.
teach it.
Yeah.
There, and especially if it is on a subject that maybe children would be really interested in too. So, like
Right.
science
Mhm.
or history,
Right. Yeah, so it's like Outschool, but I think even for me, what I would like to use Allschool for is like maybe the classes I wanted to teach that didn't take off on Outschool because there's a different marketplace on Allschool. They're reaching different students from different places, and keep in mind, like with these different like companies, they're gonna have different needs and demands,
right.
and
Mhm.
so that's kind of cool, is like you could try to offer something that didn't maybe go so well, but maybe you really had passion for teaching it. You could
Mhm.
try to offer that on Allschool and see how it goes. So um Melissa here is asking, this is, or she's saying this is better for UK folks. PayPal fees are too high for the US from the UK. So direct banking is better as far as like getting paid because they have high fees from using PayPal, I
Oh, yeah.
believe.
And there is like especially um for Outschool, since we do get paid through PayPal, if you're wanting that money to like go to your bank immediately, like
Yeah,
there's a charge for that too. So I mean, I
right.
I definitely understand the benefit of like direct deposit
Yeah.
into
Mhm.
your bank there.
Yeah,
So,
for sure, yeah, because then you know, like, where everything's going. Because I have to transfer my funds, all
right,
the time with PayPal, like, every week, I'm, like, transferring my funds, but, I mean,
right.
I do it. So Melissa's also asking what age ranges can you teach on Allschool?
So that's also similar to Outschool. It would be the 3 to 18-year-old range of
Okay.
classes. So I mean,
Would you say there's an emphasis on younger right now, or do you think really not really an emphasis anywhere?
I don't think there's an emphasis on age
Mhm.
per se. I think from what I'm understanding from the all school team is that they are emphasizing on certain subjects.
Okay.
So that could be from 3 to 18 about dinosaurs, or it could
Mm.
be 3 to 18 about science, it could be 3 to 18 about history.
Mhm.
So if you have a niche for history or science or math or crafts, like they really tailor it
Mm.
to that subject rather than the age.
Is it kind of like STEM subjects, would you say? Or
Probably, I
yeah.
know they have contacted me and they want me to specifically like teach like STEM classes,
Oh,
so
okay.
science. And
Man.
so I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with
Science,
that. It's
technology.
just
Mhm.
I just feel like that's really interesting. And
Yeah.
especially for April, they're doing a promotion on like animal classes.
Mm.
So like
Ooh,
each month, like
it's
like
a
teaching
different
animal
promotion.
classes or
Yeah.
teaching, craft classes. Like,
Right.
so I find that really interesting and not the ages.
Yeah. That is
So
interesting, for sure. Let's see here. So I believe she's talking about, or wait, are they looking for anyone to do lesson writing? Can't spell. Lesson writing, like a lesson on writing, or like to write lessons. I think that's what she was saying
like a
about.
curriculum writer.
I think she meant the courses maybe.
I have reached out to All School because of where they were running into that dilemma of, the PGC or the
Yeah.
ready-made courses. And I said, "Do you need people to come out and write the curriculum for you?" Or
Right.
and so they're like, "Well, that's not necessarily the issue.
Mm.
It really is more of like the um like their programming."
Oh,
You
yeah. Okay.
can get the lessons on the platform.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's like the big legality here that they're trying to
So
overcome.
they had legal issues, right?
Yes.
Okay,
So,
so they had legal issues, so they had to postpone teachers writing curriculum, and that's something that they want to get out there, but right now it's just not a possibility for them. So they're sticking with more of what Outschool is,
mhm,
as
right
far as
now.
that goes.
Yeah, at least right
Um,
now.
mhm,
So,
yeah,
so yeah. So, and I even said, well, would that be a possibility in the future? And they said, if we really truly cannot battle through the legal hurdles that we're going through on the platform, then we may have to. We may have
yeah,
to just rely on other teachers' lessons, and if
yeah,
those teachers are willing for other teachers to
to
teach those
teach those
lessons for
lessons.
them instead.
Okay.
So,
Oh,
and I appreciate their transparency,
yeah, for
in all
sure.
honesty, because
Yeah,
I mean, more than anything, in order to get a trust for a company, they you have to be transparent. Like, you don't want to just bait and
yeah.
switch,
For sure.
so
And I think I like that with a smaller company or something, a company that's just getting started is, you know, they are, kind of more direct about what's going on.
mhm,
And like like for instance, it's like when you apply to Outschool and you don't get hired, like there's no writing about like why you didn't get hired. Whereas I feel like with
right,
All School it would be different because well they want they want you right now and they want
right.
all the teachers
They'll
and
actually give you
yeah.
specific feedback
Right,
on what
right.
they need, and then the whole course postpone thing, they were transparent in that we're just running into legal things, and then if you want to use these resources, just please make sure it's permissible so
Right.
that we don't run into that again. And
Yeah, so
it's
same
like,
thing.
okay,
Yeah.
that gives us something. If we have to go and search for another lesson, that gives us a good insight of what we're really like trying to get before we try to
Right.
teach it
Yeah.
on there. So transparency just goes a long way
Yeah, for sure.
for a
So
company, especially for a new
mhm.
company.
We kind of answered or we touched on this question before.
Hmm.
In Kelsey's experience, she's had bookings, um, and but it's kind of like one week it'll be her classes are full, or then you get like 1 to 2 students. So she is getting traction, but it's it's obviously not going to be as built up as Outschool. But then again, though, like new teachers on Outschool, it's not always the case that they're getting consistent bookings.
Right,
So it's kind of if you
right,
if you're new, this would be a good fit, I think, because you're growing with the company. And
right,
if that same like inconsistency is going on with Outschool, like why not try a company that's not going to take as deduct as much pay,
right,
um and try to get that consistency there. So I just yeah, right now it's a starting, it's they're starting and they're growing. But it definitely let's talk about like the future, the outlook of the company, because I think
right.
like you said, there's a Facebook group. What's that Facebook group? I should probably put that in the chat.
It
Or
it is the all school prospective educators.
okay, so All School Prospective Educators is the
Yes.
Facebook group. And you said there's like 1,000 teachers in that group.
At least, if not more. Um, because I know when I had first started back in October, there was
Hmm.
like 700 people already in the group, and that was back in October.
Wow. Yeah,
So,
so it's
and I
growing.
mean, and I know like there have been more people signing up for all school, curious about all school. So I'm like, that's got to be at least 1,000, if not
Yeah,
more,
for
at this
sure.
point.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, this is the Facebook group here. If you want to see, what questions teachers are asking, and it's a good way to like join that group if you're interested in, to see the growth of the company, um and even like get some of your other questions that come up answered. Um, so 1,000, and you don't know quite yet like how many students are about the average?
I don't know any ratios and I don't know any numbers yet.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
that could just be coming from they're maybe still building up some data
Mhm.
for the
Yeah.
time being just to see how that really goes,
Yeah.
before they would just give out the official numbers.
Right.
And so, and again, it probably is just because they're a new company, maybe, not saying that they haven't put it into consideration, but maybe they're just waiting and seeing how that's looking. They're keeping an eye and balancing out teachers to
Right.
students and
Right.
just making sure that there are enough students to fit the needs of the teachers. And
Yeah.
so I think they're
Mhm.
also trying to experiment with that too.
Right, right. Yeah, definitely just like giving grace and having patience like for, just the fact that they have a lot of potential.
Hmm.
I think for in my like personal experience just as someone who now I have more than one stream of income now, and how would all school benefit me, and what I'm going to do is, you know, I would like to add all school on. I'm fully, full with Outschool right now. I also have, my coaching business that I'm building
Yeah,
up, and, you know, and my referring business that I'm also building up. Um, but, for me, someone who doesn't necessarily need like the extra income per month, for me, it really is about like the fact that I always want to continue to teach, whether like I'm spending more time on my teacher business or not. And which like for me, like I ideally would want to at least teach 10 hours per week, even if my coaching business, was taking like longer than that. So
right.
um to teach on all school for me would mean to that my 10 hours wouldn't get as much deduction from Outschool. So I would, have that 15% or 20% uh in comparison to Outschool. So I would be making more um income or not getting as much taken out, right? Because you are making that income, but it's being taken out. So
Right.
that would mean a lot for me. And to also have maybe some of those earlier hours and kind of get up, get teaching, and kind of have the rest of the day to coach. And that for me, that would mean a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas I do feel that without school, not quite as early. I feel like kind of for me being an Eastern time zone, like the later classes sometimes perform better.
Yeah,
So
no, that's sort of how I see it too, is there does seem to be a lot more of the Western Coast population that really soaks into the Outschool platform.
yeah.
And I feel like a lot of us that are on the Eastern side,
Or
are
even
able.
over the overseas, really
Mhm.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, definitely overseas too. Um, can get more of like those earlier hours. We teach earlier in the day, and then we have the rest of the day to do
Yeah.
whatever it is, whether it is to teach on another platform, like
Or
if
to work
you.
on your other stream of income, whether that be
Right,
teachers paid teachers,
yeah,
whether you're, creating a course or anything like that. Um,
like yeah, I mean, you could totally have it where like you could teach all school classes in the morning, and then you teach out school classes in the afternoon if
that too,
you
yeah.
really wanted to, like you
Yeah.
could.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that if you're someone who really like your goal is just mainly to teach online, which is a great business to have, then if that's your goal and you didn't want to add another stream of income like teachers
Right,
pay teachers or coaching or
right,
virtual assistants or anything like that,
right. Hmm.
then I think that for you to have these more than one company is super, super important.
Yes, I
Um,
agree.
I actually found it somewhere, but I don't know if they're like really strict on this, but it does say in this blog.
Okay.
This isn't coming from all school themselves, but it does say in this blog where they're hiring from and says Native North American, UK, United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, and Ireland.
Yeah.
So similar in a way to Outschool.
Mhm.
I kind of wonder if you could do something like change the VPN of your computer or hint hint or something like that. But
Yeah,
um
no, like, to reach out for more teachers to teach on the platform.
yeah, to like maybe
Yeah,
if someone's from a different country than
I
that, but
mean,
they
I
have really a great um like they're able to teach well. I know
mhm.
but that's something to look into.
Yeah, no, I think for now, they're probably just sticking to that platform,
Mhm.
or sticking to what, the United States,
Yeah,
Canada,
countries,
mm,
yeah. Mhm.
yeah, and UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Ireland. I think they're just sticking to that for now
Yeah.
until they can grow their teacher base
Okay.
and accept more teachers
Yeah.
into the platform. So I
Okay.
think, um because I really think they should, especially if Outschool is still wanting to just
Yeah.
stay with, the United States,
Right.
UK, Australia. If they're
Yeah.
if they've been staying like that for years, then I feel like all schools should take up on that opportunity to accept more teachers from other countries.
For sure. Yeah, I think that would kind of put a leg up a little bit because
Mhm.
I know so many now,
Yeah, like
teachers that are nomads and yeah.
my heart broke that this
Mm,
woman that reached out to me on Instagram was like, "Well, I'm from Iran. Are there any platforms for me?" And I just said, "No, I'm sorry." And it broke my heart because I'm just like, I kind of wish all school kind of
yeah.
accepted, people from other countries than the ones listed because, like if someone is really truly looking for an opportunity to teach, but
Yeah.
they can't because they live in a different region, then
Right.
it's such a disservice to them that are like, but I have something I could offer and
Yeah.
I can't because of where I live.
Yeah. Well, I know that there is a company. I haven't heard as much now from it. It seems like Allschool is like kind of taking the lead here as far as like the new big company,
Hmm.
which means it's doing well. But there's another company called My Cool Class,
Uh-huh.
and I used to hear about that a lot in the fall, but now I'm not hearing as much about it. But I know for them, they hire from multiple companies or countries, sorry,
Yeah.
or company country, I can't. But multiple countries, I don't think they have like a limit as far as who they hire.
Hmm.
So something. I know we're talking about all school, but
Well,
I
but I
do
mean,
wish that there's more opportunity as well, especially for like South African teachers. I think I know a lot of South African teachers myself. I know them personally. Some are my family because my husband's from around South Africa. So
okay.
um
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely at least put
yeah,
the
put the word in. Put the word in.
put the bug in their ear
Yeah,
and
for
be
sure.
like, do we plan on expanding the teacher reach?
Yeah.
So I mean, especially considering there are some teachers on the All School platform that are single. They live in Singapore.
Right.
So and they actually are like speaking like in this Singapore language, which I'm not sure if that's Mandarin or Cantonese or something
Singapore is
else.
like
I'm not really sure.
yeah, so I actually student taught in Singapore. Just crazy. So Singapore, it is like it's a mashup of languages, but Singapore, that country like speaks English or they call it Singlish or whatnot.
Ooh,
But
okay.
they do a lot of like the natives do speak like Mandarin and a mix of other languages because it's kind of a mix of cultures. So, but I know that they mainly their main English is English. No, just their main language is English.
I just never
So,
heard the proper term for it. And
yeah.
I'm just like, well, I know it's not like Mandarin, like it kind of is, but it isn't. Like I never heard of a Slingish or Slinglish. I've never.
English.
I'm embarrassing myself.
No, that's okay. English. I mean, I literally lived there for 3 months, so Yeah, so that's how I
Well,
know. Singapore English speaking. So Melissa knows, she knows. This is the Freedom
no.
Educator, by the way. Freedom
Oh,
Educator. She has do you know Melissa? She has a YouTube channel and she teaches how to go independent with tutoring. So
oh,
that's another
no,
option if
but we
you're
should
not able to
totally
get
be
into the
friends.
yes, you should. She's
Gosh.
also on Instagram. Also on the gram, you know what I'm saying? Speaking of the gram, how could we find so you are oh, I wanted to say this. So yeah, you lived there for a year teaching. That's amazing.
Oh, that's
So
so
cool.
cool.
It's amazing. I didn't know that. That's so cool.
Awesome.
I want to go again. That was a good experience. This time I want to go to Thailand because it's right near Singapore. So
See, and when you are an online teacher, you have the freedom to do that.
travel. You can travel. Yeah, exactly. But then it's like we want to like teach and travel. So how do we do that too? You know what I'm saying?
I feel like here's one thing that I feel like Outschool and Allschool have an upper hand on than VIP Kid
Mm,
because there's a lot of stuff for Outschool and Allschool that
yeah.
it's all on the computer.
Mm.
You don't have to rely so much on props.
Yeah,
You don't
true.
have to rely too much on you like decorations or anything. Like most of the time, Outschool doesn't care what kind of background you have as long as it's you
Yeah.
know not as long as it's not
Like I don't
inappropriate
need a
and
map here. Like I could have a plant. I could have a plant and a music note. I mean, that would be good enough.
right. Like
So yeah,
you don't have to like pack up a background like unless
right.
you just really feel like you need a sheet. Like
Yeah,
most kids don't usually care if you're teaching like in a hotel room
right.
or anything like that. Like,
Yeah,
so like you still may need a ring light, but like you don't really need that much now. Like, so take advantage of that
right.
because like I could never with VIP Kid.
I know.
Like I was
I know
just like
people do though,
I
but
don't know where to pack my dino. I don't know where to pack my flashcards. I don't know if I can carry all of this on a carry-on. I don't know if I could do that. Like I would just be too terrified. But if it was just a ring light, my laptop, and maybe a background, like
mhm.
then we're good.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll do like a couple more questions here. We're kind of running short on time here, about a couple few minutes left. These are our Instagram handles. If you want to, I'll also post these later on when I figure out like how to publish this to YouTube. No.
Well, it'll already be published, by the way.
Okay, it'll already be published. So if you want to catch
Yeah,
the
so it's live
recording,
now, and then once we get off, it'll already be available.
yeah, so these are if you have the gram and you want to connect with some teachers. We're here. This is teaching online with Kelsey is Kelsey's Instagram handle here. Mine is
Yes,
it's JennaLee. You can definitely reach out with both of us
yes,
and
definitely.
we can answer some questions you have. This is actually my recent applicant and he says, how are the bookings on Allschool? So for me, I've uploaded my classes with different subjects, but no one has enrolled yet.
Oh,
My
yes.
class has expired several times. Now,
Yeah.
I believe I'm not quite sure if you ended up how long that Ben has been on the platform. I'm forgetting. I don't know if he's just been there this week or how long though, Kelsey, did it take for you to at least get, few enrollments?
So I guess I got extremely lucky for being a beta tester to have enrollments,
Yeah.
but just don't be surprised if it takes a week or so
Mhm.
to get enrollment.
Even with Outschool, it can take
Yeah,
like a few
it can take a
weeks.
long time. It
Yeah.
can really take a long time on Outschool. Like sometimes, like I feel like for me being able to be a full-time online teacher, like for because I with Outschool, it was just sheer luck
Yeah.
that I ended up getting so many people like signing up and like sold out bookings
Yeah.
through there. Like it was almost luck
Yeah.
for
So
that.
don't be if you've been on for like a week,
Yeah.
that's normal not to have enrollments and bookings with really any platform.
Yes, that's
Like
typical.
in a
Definitely.
marketplace. I think the key to building up classes on a marketplace really is retention or getting those students to come back to your classes. So the biggest thing is once you do get an enrollment to like teach your heart out, try to get get to know on a personal level, and you're really good at that, Ben. So I just think that
Yeah.
you know like retaining those students is more important. But yeah, it's if you I'm gonna end the live soon, but if you look back in the video, we talked about bookings and what it's like on Allschool. We did a good good amount of time on that. And so, but yeah, I would say that's normal if you're just been on a
Yes.
week or two to not
Yeah.
have any enrollments. So keep just be patient. Would you say that they have the similar thing with like keywords and things, Kelsey? Or
I I definitely think so.
yeah.
Because like most things, like keywords are what's going to stick out for, you know, certain subjects. So I feel like it's the same thing with all school too. And so and hey Benny, if it helps out, next month they're doing on all school, they're doing a promotional thing for like animal classes. So if
Mhm.
you are
Oh,
able to do an animal
he
class,
he was doing it like a jungle
yeah,
class.
it would
So
be
like an animal
perfect.
jungle, and they're promoting that the next few weeks. So do that. Yeah, I would go to
Yes,
that because it's so
yes,
similar to the class that you taught.
yes. So
So
you heard it here. If you can talk about animals on all school, do it. Okay.
exactly. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. These were some great
Yes.
questions.
Thank
I'm excited for
you.
Allschool, and
Hmm.
I appreciate you for, just going head first into this. And it's so
Yes,
important to
I
have that
I am risk
competition.
taker.
Yes, it's so important to have that competition, I think. So something like the VIP kid doesn't uh,
I
happen to everyone, and so I think that's really important. So I appreciate your honesty and your
Yes,
transparency, and you bringing up another company here for us
yeah,
all. I think it's really
definitely.
I want the marketplaces to I want more marketplaces. I want them to be a legit thing. I want this to be something that grows, and I think it will. And Allschool has so much potential. You've heard it from us, from Kelsey. You've heard it from Online Teacher Dude.
Hmm.
You've heard it from many other teachers. All of us are seeing huge potential with this. So I would say get on that Allschool train, see
Get
where
it,
it takes you
get it on now before it
before it
gets
becomes
out school.
exactly,
I
exactly.
mean, like, not ripping
Before they
out
increase
school. I
the
still
deduction.
love out school. Don't get me
No,
wrong,
me
but
too. I love Outschool.
we
Love
just, I, you'll notice from my stuff. I like to be honest and I like to be transparent.
yeah.
I don't like to hide anything from anyone.
Hmm.
So
So
do
follow
it
her
now.
YouTube.
Yep,
Follow her
do it now.
YouTube. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kelsey.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
thank
try to see how
you.
I can end this and figure this out. But yes, you can catch the live on my YouTube channel. The rest of the live if you didn't get to show up for the whole thing. And yeah, I hope to connect with all of you. And yeah, we'll be meeting more and talking more and giving you some good resources. So yes, thank you so much.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you.
See ya. Bye bye.